If you go to Stratford-upon-Avon and enter any gift shop, you will find plenty of souvenirs. There'll be cards and fridge magnets, plastic quills and Elizabethan ruffs, cartoons of Shakespeare plays, and plenty of stationery items, including rulers. I have two. Lengthwise, one shows the titles and dates of all of Shakespeare's plays, always a good one to check before a lesson. The second, aptly named English Rulers, deals with English kings and queens, also listed in order. There's quite a lot of overlap between the two, and one could be forgiven for thinking Shakespeare had mostly written plays about English history. The rulers are handy to check, should one get confused. There are so many Henrys after all, and Richards. But my advice would be not to trust Shakespeare in these matters, not too much anyway. He liked to tell tales, and if his geography is pretty iffy, he tries to convince us, for example, that you can travel by boat from Milan to Venice, geologically impossible, his history is no much better. There are very good reasons for this, so let me tell you a few stories. You see, despite what many historians might argue, there isn't much difference between writing history and telling a story. Stories matter. They do not have to be true either, but they must be true to themselves, and in that respect, Shakespeare's history plays do not ever let us down, in my view. The next step will focus on two of them. Henry V will teach us how Shakespeare deals with the needs of political propaganda at a time when England was finding its voice as a nation in Europe, but not fully of Europe. Sounds familiar? A national hero is created, on stage anyway, a fair-haired and optimistic leader who galvanizes his people by going to war on false pretenses and takes Europe head-on, calling its bluff in order to get a sort of medieval Brexit done. Richard III is one of Shakespeare's most accomplished dramas. Part tragedy and part farce, we will learn about the ascent of one of England's most intriguing villains, someone who loves to be hated and who manages to seduce a whole world, including the audience, by spreading fake news and dividing his enemies before self-destroying and taking his extraordinary performance down with him. We will also have a chance to learn how Shakespeare deals with those topics which polite British society considers off-limits at a dinner party, religion and politics, and how he manages to ask difficult questions of us without ever compromising himself, but performing his usual disappearing act and letting his characters argue things out, as we, the audience, also wonder what truth is, and real power, and why we need a crown. Finally, I think this could be a good opportunity to consider how we should judge the past. Can we really judge it through the eyes and values of the present? Should we do so? Can we help it, even? We are going to be someone's uncomfortable past, one day. Shakespeare neither erects nor takes statues down. He provides their pedestals with built-in wheels so they can be quickly made to disappear or make an entrance, depending on the vagaries of destiny or what the wheel of time requires. I love the idea of the body politic. It is in essence an earlier version of what we would now call the big society. We are all in it together, but some more so than others, possibly. Despite the flourishing of new ideas in a world which was fast questioning the tenets of the Middle Ages, the Elizabethans saw the world order as a pretty rigid affair. They compared the political structure of their country to a human body. So the sovereign was the head, and therefore the most crucial body part, considering that his or her right to reign was thought to be God-given. The arms of government reflected how that power was enacted and shaped the existence of the people. Religious authority was a precious catalyst, and in the case of England at one with the authority of the crown. Everything and everyone had a place. Shakespeare was writing at a time when people's memories of religious war were very fresh in their mind. They also worried that the Virgin Queen, Elizabeth, should be unmarried and childless. Anything might happen after her death, and there were plenty of people keen to apply for her position or change the job description altogether. Yet England was a country that, thanks to the actions and expediency of Henry VIII and his daughter Elizabeth, had found its place in Europe as a force to be reckoned with politically, economically, and culturally. The Tudor dynasty had been responsible for this renaissance, giving the country political stability. Secondly, and uniquely, England had gained religious independence from the Catholic Church, lovingly known as the Whore of Rome, and a new sense of self. Her arch-enemies, France and Spain, were kept at bay. Trade was flourishing. The playhouses of London reflected a unique literary renaissance. The English had never had it so good since never. And being distinct from the rest of Europe would offer endless possibilities. Or that was the narrative anyway. And Shakespeare knew a good narrative when he saw one. So he tells us his own version of the story.